Hello, friends. This is incredible. It's confirmed that recruit Caden Lewis has placed Kentucky among his finalists for where he might come to play. Now, will we see the strength of Pope and the coaching staff? Before we get to the news, subscribe to the channel to receive more updates. College basketball recruiting continues to heat up, and the Kentucky Wildcats, led by Mark Pope, are once again in the spotlight with four-star point guard Caden Lewis, who has included the program in his final list of 4 options. This news comes at a crucial time for the Wildcats, who are already directing their efforts towards the fall recruiting class, and Lewis represents a strategic target to strengthen the roster. The young talent from Sidwell Friends School in Washington, D.C., is on the radar of major college basketball powerhouses, reflecting the significance of his decision. Besides Kentucky, 3 other renowned programs are in the running: UConn Huskies, Duke Blue Devils, and North Carolina Tar Heels. This fierce competition underscores Lewis's caliber as one of the top names in the next generation of college point guards. With rankings varying among the major recruiting services, Lewis is viewed differently depending on the source. On3 ranks him 55th overall, 247 Sports places him at 32nd, while ESPN ranks him 28th and Rivals at 53rd. Such variations in rankings are common among recruits at this level, but the consensus is clear that Lewis is a highly coveted talent. On3 and ESPN identify him as a pure point guard, while 247 Sports sees him as a combo guard, and Rivals categorizes him as a shooting guard. This versatility certainly makes him a valuable asset for any program that secures his commitment. Although no concrete predictions about Lewis's destination have been recorded so far, Kentucky's inclusion among his 4 finalists is a strong indication that Pope's program is on the right track to securing the young point guard's talents. The relationship between Lewis and the Kentucky Wildcats began to solidify when he visited the campus in June, an unofficial visit that resulted in a scholarship offer. Since then, Kentucky's coaching staff has remained present, closely monitoring Lewis's development, in a clear effort to keep the player's attention focused on Lexington. Lewis's decision, still uncertain, has drawn the attention of recruitment analysts. With the market for elite point guards becoming increasingly competitive, Lewis stands out for his game control ability and sharp court vision. Kentucky's need to strengthen its point guard line makes him a key piece in Coach Mark Pope's plans, who is looking to shape a competitive and versatile roster for the coming years. Pope, in his short yet significant tenure at the helm of the Wildcats, has shown an ability to attract high-level recruits, and securing Lewis's signature would be another step in the right direction. Moreover, Lewis's high school trajectory shows that he is more than just a player with potential. At Sidwell Friends School, he not only stood out as one of the country's top point guards, but also demonstrated a game maturity that many young athletes are still developing. His ability to handle pressure and lead in critical moments makes him an even more attractive target for Kentucky, which has always valued players with a winning mindset and adaptability. As the fall recruitment period approaches, attention turns to Lewis's final decision. The fact that Kentucky has managed to position itself among the last 4 options is already a significant victory, considering the caliber of the other programs involved. UConn, Duke, and North Carolina are all formidable opponents, each with its own history and success in recruiting elite talents. However, the active presence of Mark Pope and his coaching staff could be a crucial differentiator in Lewis's final decision. In a time when recruiting is more competitive than ever, every detail can make a difference. Lewis's unofficial visit in June, combined with Kentucky's ongoing engagement, shows that the Wildcats are willing to do whatever it takes to secure this talent. And while predictions remain uncertain, one thing is clear: Caden Lewis is in the spotlight, and his decision will be one of the most anticipated moments of this year's recruitment. Mark Pope has the opportunity to further consolidate his legacy at Kentucky Wildcats by securing Lewis's signature. If successful, It will not only strengthen the Wildcats roster, but also send a powerful message to other recruits that Kentucky continues to be an elite destination for young talent. Let's go forward. Since Malachi Moreno committed to the Kentucky Wildcats last month, he has stood out not just for his talent on the court, but also for his active role in recruiting future teammates. Moreno quickly took on the role of best recruiter in the country, as he himself expressed, and seems determined to live up to that title. Recently, he discussed with the KSR portal who the main targets are that he is trying to attract to join him and Jasper Johnson, forming an impressive recruiting class for the 2025 season under Mark Pope's leadership. Jasper Johnson, who committed shortly after Moreno, was the first five-star recruit to join the program since Pope took over the Wildcats. Johnson's addition was already a significant milestone for Pope, and the partnership between him and Moreno is seen as a major step in restructuring the program in Lexington. Now, Moreno is playing a crucial role in trying to bring even more talent to the group, and two names are at the top of his list: Braylon Mullins and Caden Lewis, both top 40 prospects and priority targets for Kentucky's coaching staff. Moreno does not hide his enthusiasm for Braylon Mullins, a player with whom he has a long history. Both have been playing together on the same AAU team for 4 years, and Moreno made it clear that he does not want to see Mullins go anywhere else. I would definitely say Braylon Mullins, that's my guy. I've been on the same AAU team for 4 years, and I wouldn't like to see him anywhere else, he told the portal. This personal connection and the trust Moreno has in Mullins highlight how important this addition would be for Kentucky, both in terms of talent and team chemistry. However, while Moreno maintains a strong relationship with Mullins, Kentucky's current focus seems to be more on Caden Lewis. Lewis, a point guard who can effectively play all three phases of the game, scoring, passing, and defending, is seen as a vital piece for building a dynamic backcourt in Lexington. Moreno had only praise for Lewis, highlighting his ability to score in various ways and his competitive mindset. Caden is a true point guard who can really score at all three levels, can really pass. He's a tough, hard-nosed point guard, Moreno stated, adding that Lewis's ambidextrous ability is an interesting differentiator. Kentucky's coaching staff, under the leadership of Mark Pope, has been actively working to ensure that Lewis joins the 2025 class, and Moreno himself is involved in this effort, encouraging the young point guard to choose the Wildcats. The combination of Lewis with Jasper Johnson in the backcourt would create an extremely versatile duo, capable of playing both with and without the ball, offering Pope valuable tactical flexibility. On the other hand, Mullins, though a more traditional point guard, is still a talent that Kentucky would like to have. His familiarity with Moreno and his natural ability to lead the game make him an attractive option to complement the class. While the coaching staff's attention is heavily focused on Lewis, the interest in Mullins has not diminished, and Moreno is certainly doing his part to ensure that both players seriously consider Kentucky as their next destination. With Moreno acting as a kind of ambassador for the program, the expectation is very interesting to see if he will be able to attract Lewis and Mullins to join him and Jasper Johnson. If these efforts are successful, Mark Pope will be at the helm of one of the strongest and most promising recruiting classes for Kentucky in recent years. This kind of involvement from a committed player is a powerful weapon in the world of college recruiting, and Moreno seems to be making the most of this opportunity to shape the future of the Wildcats. Mark Pope's first recruiting class in Kentucky is taking shape, and the possibility of adding talents like Lewis and Mullins is exciting both for fans and the coaching staff. The fact that Moreno is so involved in the recruitment process, offering an active voice and a personal connection with potential recruits, only strengthens Kentucky's chances of securing these key pieces. Really cool, let's go forward. The Kentucky Wildcats are once again investing heavily in recruiting, and this time the focus is on a young talent with great potential. Obinna Ekezie Jr. standing at 7 feet tall, Akizi Jr. is already being touted as one of the top centers in the class of 2027, and the Wildcats coaching staff, under the direction of Mark Pope, wasted no time in extending an offer to the promising player. This decision reflects Kentucky's ongoing commitment to ensuring that its basketball program remains one of the most competitive in the country. Mark Pope, who is well acquainted with the center position and Kentucky's tradition in this regard, is using his personal experience as a former Wildcats player to attract elite talents like Akizi Jr. As someone who has lived and thrived in the high-pressure environment of Kentucky, Pope understands what it takes to transform promising youths into college basketball stars. This is something that impacts BBN, and the offer to Akizi Jr. is yet another step in building a bright future for the program. Akizi Jr., who currently plays for Prolific Prep in Napa, California, has already caught the attention of several other heavyweight institutions. Among the universities that have made offers are California, Houston, and Stanford, all known for their solid programs and athlete development capabilities. However, Kentucky's offer puts the young center in a prominent position, as the program has a well-established tradition of producing great centers like DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis, who not only dominated the college scene, but also had successful NBA careers. While the official star rating for the class of 2027 is not yet fully defined, ESPN has already placed Akizi Jr. in a high position, ranking him as the 19th best overall player and the 4th best center in the class. He has received a 4-star rating from ESPN, which is indicative of his potential and the expectations surrounding his future in college basketball. 247 Sports, which has not yet assigned an official star to the young player, will likely follow suit as more information and assessments about Akizi Jr. are gathered. Kentucky's involvement in recruiting Akizi Jr. reflects the long-term strategy that Pope and his coaching staff are implementing. Securing a dominant center like Akizi Jr. would not only bring a commanding physical presence to the team, but also strengthen Kentucky's reputation as a program that continues to develop and prepare great centers for success both in college basketball and professionally. This track record is something the Wildcats cherish and attracts young talents who aspire to follow in the footsteps of legends like Cousins and Davis. Akizi Jr., although still early in his basketball journey, already demonstrates the qualities needed to shine on a major team. His play at Prolific Prep has caught the attention of scouts and coaches across the country, and Kentucky's offer serves as a confirmation of his status as one of the top young centers in the class of 2027. His height and natural abilities make him a potential centerpiece for any team that secures his signature. Kentucky, of course, has a long way to go before securing Akizi Jr.'s signature, but the fact that they have already made an offer and are actively involved in his recruitment is a clear sign that Pope and his team are not only focused on the present, but also carefully planning the program's future. The Wildcats' successful history of developing centers will certainly be a significant factor in Akizi Jr.'s decision. Moreover, Pope knows that securing a player like Akizi Jr. would be a major step in keeping the program competitive and prepared for the challenges that will come in the upcoming seasons. With a tradition of success in developing great centers and the leadership of Mark Pope, Kentucky continues to be an attractive destination for the country's top players. Now let's see how this unfolds. Have an opinion? Hit the subscribe button and leave your opinion at the end of the video. The Kentucky Wildcats delivered a fierce battle against the Georgia Bulldogs, but in the end, they fell short of victory in a tight 1-point loss. This painful defeat came just a week after a disappointing performance against South Carolina. And while the final result wasn't what fans hoped for, the team showed progress and resilience, which could be a positive sign for the rest of the season. Now with a record of 1-2, the Wildcats need to rebound quickly before facing the Ohio Bobcats next Saturday. Let's analyze 3 positive aspects, risers, and 2 areas that left something to be desired, fallers, following this tough loss. If there's anyone who can hold his head high after this defeat, it's kicker Alex Rayner. All 12 of Kentucky's points came from Rayner's feet, who was perfect on the night with 4 out of 4 on field goals, 2 of which were over 50 yards. Without a doubt, if the Wildcats had managed to turn the game around, Rayner would have been the hero of the match. His precision in critical moments was a major strength for Kentucky, proving him to be a reliable piece for future battles this season. After the loss against South Carolina, the Wildcats' offense seemed to be in ruins, with little production beyond the ground game. However, against the country's top defense, Kentucky's offense showed significant improvement. Although this was the second consecutive week without an offensive touchdown, the Wildcats managed to accumulate 284 total yards against a defense that few teams can penetrate. Even more impressive, Kentucky outgained Georgia in yards and controlled the game in terms of first downs, winning that battle 23-12. The receivers finally got more involved, and the ground game, which had been the main focus in recent weeks, continued to function effectively. The offensive line also had a notable recovery performance, holding off the pressure from Georgia's defensive line, one of the most feared in the country. Although the team still needs to find ways to turn these improvements into touchdowns, there are clear signs that the offense is gaining traction. Kentucky's defense was a highlight throughout the night, putting constant pressure on Georgia and keeping the powerful Bulldogs' offense in check. Keeping the country's #1 team to just 63 yards in the first half was an impressive feat and highlighted how well-coached and disciplined Brad White's defense is. Moreover, the Wildcats prevented Georgia from scoring a touchdown for 3 entire quarters, which is no easy task considering the offensive power of the Bulldogs. It was only in the fourth quarter, with just over 12 minutes remaining, that Georgia managed to cross the end zone for the first time. This defensive resilience throughout the game showed that Kentucky is capable of competing with the top teams in the country, and the defensive unit should continue to be a strength in the upcoming matches. Missed opportunities on fumbles. In such a tight game, small details can make all the difference, and Kentucky had several chances to change the course of the game but failed to capitalize. Georgia had some careless moments, including a crucial fumble by tight end Oscar Delp on the final drive that could have sealed the game for Kentucky. 4 Wildcats defenders were around the ball, but somehow, Georgia managed to recover possession, securing a vital first down that ultimately sealed the victory. This failure to capitalize on critical moments reflects a combination of lack of focus and perhaps a bit of bad luck, but it's an aspect that the Wildcats need to correct quickly. The ability to force and, more importantly, recover turnovers can be decisive in tight games like this. Another area of concern was the game's strategy in the final moments. There was a split opinion among fans about the decision to kick a field goal before halftime, instead of trying for a touchdown. While this choice can be justified by the logic of securing points in a tight game, the play call at the end of the game, specifically the punt with 3 minutes remaining, was where many believe Kentucky missed the chance to secure the turnaround. Instead of trying to convert on 4th down at a crucial moment, the Wildcats opted to give the ball back to Georgia and trust the defense. Although the defense was playing exceptionally well, eventually, Kentucky's offense would need to produce a big play to turn the game around, but that never happened. Abandoning the ground game, which had been effective all night, at such a critical moment was also a decision that raised many questions. And Mark Stoops highlighted how proud he was of the attitude and resilience demonstrated by the Wildcats. Although the 13-12 defeat was painful, especially considering that they were just a few plays away from defeating the country's #1 team, Stoops remained optimistic about the signs of progress the team showed. Stoops spoke about how this was another of the so-called moral victories for the program, referring to the fact that despite the losses, games like this show that the team is on the right track. He made it clear that he wants to turn these moral victories into concrete wins in the future, but acknowledged that there is much to be drawn from this performance against Georgia. One of the highlights Stoops praised was the defensive performance. The Wildcats' defense was exceptional, holding the Bulldogs' offense at bay for much of the game and keeping the opposing team out of the end zone until the fourth quarter. Stoops pointed out that this defensive performance could serve as a foundation for the rest of the season, and that his team proved capable of competing with the best teams in the country. The coach also talked about the Wildcats' ground game, which functioned well against one of the strongest defensive lines in college football. Kentucky managed to run the ball efficiently, and Stoops hopes this aspect of the game continues to evolve. He mentioned that with a more consistent attack and some improvements at critical moments, his team could be on the verge of great achievements. One of the most discussed decisions of the game was the choice to kick a field goal on fourth down at the end of the fourth quarter. Stoops defended his choice, arguing that at that moment, he believed it was the best option to give Kentucky a chance to win the game. While some may have questioned the decision, Stoops emphasized that his confidence in the defense led him to make that call, given the unit was performing at a high level. Looking forward, Stoops expressed confidence that his team can build on this performance. He made it clear that it's not just about competing, but about turning these strong performances into concrete victories. With the Ohio Bobcats up next on the schedule, Stoops stated that the Wildcats are ready to bounce back and use the lessons learned against Georgia to propel the team through the season. Despite the outcome, the Wildcats' struggle against Georgia showed that Kentucky has the capability to compete with any opponent. Stoops emphasized that Saturday night's game was an opportunity for growth, both for the team and for the program as a whole. The expectation now is to see how Kentucky will use this experience to move forward and, eventually, turn these tough battles into decisive victories. And what's your opinion? Comments are important.